So like I went 6 days, no food, did gravity. That's
No,
not, you know,
they're
it's like
vibrating
something
through
wild,
time
dude.
space.
And it was like Pepsi, now made with real sugar. And I was, what?
What was it before? And then it just becomes like this beautiful vibration, like a wave.
And you get like hyper oxygenated. It started in my fingertips and started to go up my arms. And it felt like my arms were lighting on fire.
Another austerity. If you know how to cross your eyes and stare inward at your brain with your eyes like open or closed, you can stimulate your pineal gland.
I don't know what to think, man. I'm kind of like, that whole genre is dead to me. And it was like really weird because like I love seeing crazy stuff on the internet, but like I've reached a disconnect where I'm like, dude, the AI's gotten too good.
Here we go. Happy fall equinox.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Yeah.
So welcome to the Wave Function Podcast. We have a special guest again today, Andrew Smith. 1/3 of my viewers aren't subscribing. I film everything myself. I edit everything. I'm not mass producing videos. I'm not going to mess your feed up. You could just hit the subscribe button. Support your boy. It's so simple. Just hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed. So haven't said that in any of my videos yet. Wanted to slip that in there. So
Maybe give this video a little like.
yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, just a
Dude,
little like goes a long
it's crazy,
way.
man. So on like TikTok, a couple of my videos got like a couple thousand views in like an hour. And I'm like, man, the algorithm is everything. It's confusing.
Everything, dude.
I'm like, wow. You remember like old school YouTube where like OG YouTube, you could just get lost down this rabbit hole. You click on one video, you'd be watching like fighter jets, and then like 10 minutes later, you're watching a guy wrestle an alligator, and you're like, I don't even know how I got here. Like those days are kind of done, right?
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The way.
No linear path.
Yeah, now the algorithm is just like, you want to go this way. It's like, do I?
Do I know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was actually my shortest video. It was like a 20-second clip, did well, you know? But anyways, man, I feel so good today. I just finished my fast.
Yeah, how you feeling?
Dude, a little off. You know, I'm just recouping now. Like you're seeing me like just getting that fresh energy. I was like refed 3 hours ago.
So what is the most significant thing you're feeling now that you're off your fast?
Energy. Dude. So like I went 6 days, no food. Yeah, it was really tough. Like I'm just a big believer in fasting. You know, I think it's only natural that one of the most healing things that you can do for yourself is free. Right. And, that, you know, I felt like kind of some intuition towards that. And I went down.
How can we monetize that?
No, that's literally exactly it, man. Like, how can we monetize it? And you can't. And so I feel like the education around fasting is like few and far in between. Like, you know, one of the weirdest things about fasting is how private you have to be about it.
Yeah.
It makes people so mad.
Yeah. Don't tell your mom.
No, don't tell anybody. Like, you know, like the only people I tell really are like, you know, my girlfriend and like, you know, I had to go out to dinner with my homeboy Kip yesterday. And I'm like, listen, man, like I'll watch you eat. It's painful, man.
Yeah. How was that experience watching somebody eat when you're literally starving yourself?
He was so annoyed. Well, I don't know. Cause like I looked at him, I was like, yo, what's that sauce taste like? He's like, it's like a Buffalo Ranch.
You're like the most annoying
dude,
person.
No, I was, man.
next
I was
to.
so annoyed. I was like, dude, I'm like asking him about like things taste. And like, I was just trying to like vicariously live through him in the moment. I was like, yeah.
Could you chew that slower for me?
He didn't dunk the wings in the blue cheese. And I was like, yo, you gonna use that blue cheese? And he's like, would it satisfy you if I did, Justin? I'm like, yeah, it kind of would. So then I realized, I'm like, all right, I'm being like super annoying right now. I'm like, okay. I would not suggest if you're fasting to go out to dinner with people because it kind of weirds them out a little bit. He was super understanding, but like last year I had like a business dinner where I didn't eat and people were really through.
Oh man, that might have been like not the middle path.
No,
in that moment,
they're like, you
dude.
killing yourself over there? Like, you all right, dude? Yeah, man. Oh my gosh. The weirdest thing is like, there's all these stages of fasting. Like day 1 was really easy for me. I like ate a crap ton on Sunday, right? So like Monday was like, I dry fasted. So no food, no water. That's like in the fasting community, it's kind of like an accelerated fast. Like they say every day of dry fasting is 3 days of water fasting.
It's no joke.
Yeah. And wasn't thirsty, wasn't hungry. And it's kind of weird, but day 2, I had a coffee because I was studying nuclear medicine. And
how'd that turn out?
Awful.
Yeah. What were the symptoms of realizing that you had something that you shouldn't have?
Well, I was like, all right, well, I'm breaking the dry fasting aspect, right? But my heart was pounding. I got super dehydrated. Like if your first drink back is a dehydrating drink, it's a terrible idea. So I was like, oh, I need to like have a lot of salt water. So like right after the coffee, I went into the salt water. Then I felt way better.
Yeah, your minerals. I mean, coffee itself strips your minerals. That's what it does.
Dude, I stripped all the minerals this last week. Yeah. And then Wednesday was all right. It's kind of the first day where you notice like how hard it gets. But it's also like stomach-wise, it's really easy. It's like just a mental thing at that point, you know? And the weakness hasn't kicked in. Once day 4... no food, you just get weak. And you feel like my body feels like I have the flu. Like I don't feel sick, but it's like my legs are weak. Things like walking, I was still going to the gym and lifting weights because, I learned like just massively reduces the muscle atrophy. Like I lost 15 pounds in the last 6 days of fasting.
Oh,
and like,
yeah.
I think,
so I'm going to sound a little gross. How much of that you think was waste matter?
Well, probably like 30%. I don't know, man. I bet it's, probably a lot, good bit of muscle.
Okay.
Probably a lot of waste. I don't know, man. I can't call it.
I don't know if you knew. I was just asking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But day 5, I felt super weak. And then today was day 6 and I broke the fast. I was just like, dude, just doing simple things. Like hanging out with my homie yesterday. We went for a motorcycle ride and he was like, dude, you all right? You're like not even, like you feel mentally like there's the clarity is there, right? Like kind of clairvoyant, but at the same time, you notice moments where you like forget things.
Yeah.
You're like, I can't recall someone's name. You're like, oh, I'm kind of dumb right now. Huh.
Yeah, your body isn't firing right when you're that deep in a fast.
No.
The thing that I'm curious for you is, was your mental cognizant, like you were saying you had almost like a clairvoyance? Did you have any like deeper level of like clairsentience, like anything where you were like getting like things popping into you?
No, I wish, man. And you had spoken to me this in the past. Like it would have been really great to meditate during that time. I felt like you feel so clean. There's no brain fog.
Yeah.
And I'm moving on to a new job. I don't want to talk about that, but in my last job, I was having a lot of sugar, dude. Like, my coworkers were bringing in candy, and I don't buy candy. I just don't.
Who does that? Who brings coffee or candy to work?
I don't know, man. The person that does is awesome, so I can't, get on them at all. But yeah, I was dealing with just a tremendous amount of brain fog and almost like a brain jitter. Like sugar is just so damaging to the body, and I feel like we've all been sold this, drug. And it's just kind of like wrecked society in many ways. And then, it's gotten even worse. I remember seeing this commercial for Pepsi when I was like 18. And it was like, Pepsi, now made with real sugar. And I was, what?
What was it before?
I don't know, man. I guess they were doing high fructose corn syrup for a while. But it's like, the whole sweetening agent thing, it's pretty wild. Like just... You go down that rabbit hole and you realize like, oh, everyone's just getting poisoned like regularly. And I felt like, I had a week off this week and I'm like, all right, like I'll take the time to really reset, right? I just want to clear my gut out, allow my body to heal things that, it might need to that I don't even know about, right?
Yeah.
When you stop digesting, you turn on autophagy and your cells can start cleaning up all the stuff that shouldn't be in you.
Yeah, cellular repair occurs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I went through that process. It's hard. It's not for everybody. Really not, man. It's just like, I wouldn't suggest anything past 3 days of fasting unless you're off work completely.
So the interesting thing, I was actually talking with my wife about this earlier today, with no correlation to me being with you right now, that women go through a cycle that is usually like 28 days to 30 days, depending. Yeah. Men go through like a 24-hour cycle. So the fasting cycle for a woman is very different.
Yeah, I think it's actually a lot more difficult for women to fast. Like, dude, we've all been around our girls when they're like their blood sugar gets low and they're just like, you got to get them some food.
You got to get them food. You don't even think about it.
Yeah, you're like, all right, let's get you something to eat quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to make decisions? Whatever you want to eat.
Yeah, I know. So, I mean, yeah, I was actually, I ended the last day with a colonic. I'm not going to get into details with that because it's a little personal, but
a little personal, yeah.
It was, wild. Definitely first time. Just a wild experience, especially to finish a fast with that. And
hardcore.
It was just like super cleaning me up. So, the woman there, she was just crazy knowledgeable. And she's like, listen, like I could only ever go 3 days. She's like, and I'm like, and I just told you a second ago, I'm like, anything like day 4, that's when you're just weak. Getting out of bed was like really difficult.
Yeah.
Both, in the last 3 days, I was like, oh my God, my alarm goes off. And I'm just like, dude, I'm so hard to get out of bed.
Did you wake up at all in the middle of the night at any point in time during it?
So here's the craziest part. Your mind gets on food so much. I thought I broke my fast last night in my dreams, dude. Swear to God. I was breaking it on like Chinese food. Like I remember, so in my dream, I'm eating like this like kind of not so great Chinese food. And in my thought, I was like, man, I told myself I wasn't going to eat until after the colonic. And then all of a sudden I'm like, wait, I wouldn't do that. Wait, I'm totally dreaming right now. I'm totally dreaming. And then like I had this moment, I'm like, okay. Like that was how I got to that point where I was like, no, I definitely have more discipline than to eat Chinese food before the colonic. Like this was my goal. And like, I usually set a goal and like I hit it, like I just felt like this week was for me to practice discipline. Mm-hmm. And for me to like disappoint myself in my dream, like that's how much my body wanted food. It was like eating in my sleep, It's just like, I'm like, all right, I'll get a bite tomorrow. All right. Yeah.
Did you derive any enjoyment out of that Chinese food while you were dreaming?
The first couple bites, it wasn't until halfway through I like felt this letdown.
Yeah.
I was like, what am I doing?
Like spiritual stab in your subconscious mind.
Yeah. It was like, yo, dude, I thought you had a goal, man, And that's the weird thing is like you get to a point where during your fast, you're not really like stomach hungry. Mm-hmm. You don't feel anything in your stomach. It just becomes like strictly mental, and your whole body gets like really, really weak. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to, suggest to anybody to do, super extended fast. That's your own personal journey.
Yeah.
But I mean, 3 days ain't going to hurt you. I'll tell you this both times.
It could hurt you.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Not medical advice.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I know.
Yeah, right.
So I just, anytime I've gotten to 3 day mark, I'm fairly unfazed. But
likewise.
Anything past 4, it starts to get kind of serious. And your heart rate, dude, my heart rate was like 100 BPM, just like chilling during the day. And I went to the sauna. I did the sauna like 3-4 times this week. Mm. And like it took a while to get my heart rate down.
Yeah.
And not only that, here's what was weird is like, like your face is sweating, you like lick your lips. And like normally when I go to the sauna, it's like really salty. And I actually like, oddly enough, like the taste of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But this week, like, I just remember like getting to this, like licking my mouth, like with the sweat all over. And I was like, wait, what? Like no salt, like none.
Flavorless.
No, it was, dude, my sweat was like, totally saltless, and it was kind of like a weird moment. I was like, all right, like it's like I had no minerals to push.
Definitely. Yeah, you were completely mentally deprived. What did you have any smell coming out of the sauna at this late?
I don't think so, man. You can never smell yourself because of olfactory adaptation, but like,
well, I don't know. I smell pretty bad sometimes. I can smell it.
I can smell like something like after I take a shower. Yeah. And then like you maybe smell your clothes that you put in the hamper and you're like, oh, that's what I was putting out.
Oh man, I can't believe I was rocking that.
Yeah, exactly. But nah, man, I feel like I'm just now digesting that food and like life's coming back to me. It's good, dude.
Yeah.
And like food is like there's like a holy nature to it during your fast. You just like, oh, this is what keeps me alive. And you reconnect with that, and, you know, reconnecting with hunger and like appreciating food.
Yeah.
And that's something I always get to every single fast, where I'm just like, oh, like, you know, this is what gives me life. And we just get really gluttonous in nature. It's just so easy with the food industry, what it's putting out, you know, and
you go to like some fast food and you can just grab something that may have very low nutritional or even like high, you know, chemical content, but because it's convenient and like you're in a rush to go to the next thing, you're like, hey, let me jam this thing in my face without thinking about the meditation of eating.
Totally. And another thing I notice is when you fast for an extended period of time, you start to realize how much your gut is controlling your brain.
Oh, 100%.
Crazy.
The bacteria and the parasites
oh my
in your
gosh,
stomach
man,
are like,
it's
yeah,
like,
eat that.
You're like, yeah, you want that donut. You really want that donut. But when you're like on day 5 of a fast, you're not like, oh, I want to eat this donut. I want that candy bar. Like, you're literally just like, I'll go for some vegetables. I'll go for a steak, for some fruit. Like, I just want food. I don't want all this junk. You don't crave the junk at all. You're just like, I just need minerals and nutrients. And it's a totally different mindset from like, you know, where you are right before the fast.
All right. So I got 2 big questions for you now that inspired me with what the words you just said. First thing, what was it like when you ate the first thing that you ate finishing your fast? Like, what was it and what was it your experience?
Yeah, it was kimchi, just to get a little bit of probiotic in me. And then I had some fruit. It was weird. Like, my taste was definitely higher. The crazy thing was my sense of smell skyrocketed on day 4.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Like, I was riding my one wheel around, and like anytime I passed a restaurant, I was like, whoa. Everywhere I went, I couldn't believe my sense of smell. But like, I don't know, man. When I started eating, I ate it like a ton, which I don't suggest, but I literally still felt starving. Like, that's how I don't, it's crazy, man. Like, previous fasts, like I would get full pretty quickly. Like, I feel like my stomach would kind of shrivel up. This time, This time, like, I had go through it. I had like good bit of kimchi. I had like handful of strawberries, handful of blueberries, like 3 pickle slivers, a bowl of olives, 2 pepper shooters, a pound of sirloin steak. And after all that, I was like, dude, I'm like still starving. And then I ate that crummy protein Pop-Tart.
Oh my God.
I gave it to you, and you looked at the ingredients and you're like, I don't think you should eat this, dude. But I bought it on like day 2 of my fast because I've never tried this brand before, but like, I got sucked into like the colors and the sprinkles, and I'm like, all right, let me try.
Like,
no, it was disgusting.
Wrapping paper,
It was literally disgusting, dude. And I'm like, but yeah, oh my gosh, man. Now it's like night and day. I felt like I didn't accomplish much this week, just, being so tired. But it's also like I did accomplish something. I finished the fast I set out to do.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the hard thing is like anytime you're fasting, it's, at least I'm going to speak for myself. It's like, dude, you're not going to die. You're not.
Yeah.
And you set out a goal to hit this day mark, right? And right now your body is, cleaning up a lot of stuff. And sure, there's the drawback. You're going to lose some muscle mass, but you'll always put it back on with the muscle memory you have. So I'm like, all right, but I think if people don't have like serious goals going into a fast, they're just going to probably stop at the moment that is least convenient for them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The faculties of the mind are to bewilder you into folding because your ego needs to be satiated, So it's like, oh, well, the meditation that I've adapted in some previous fasts, which may have occurred to you while you were on your fast as well, was like, all right, well, I'm not my mind. My mind's telling me that I'm hungry right now, but I'm not my mind. Mm-hmm. That's not who I am.
Mm-hmm. Totally, man. And the body's a temple, dude. Like we all forget about that. It's like, it's really hard to do something like that, for 6 days. And I just told myself, I'm like, yo, like my body needs this. I do a long fast about twice a year, maybe once a year. I feel like that's a good cadence for me for like a long fast.
Yeah.
I mean, intermittent fasting has kind of grown, but I feel like, a lot of times I just consider that more like timed eating. Like people have like windows like, oh, I go 16 hours off and then 8 hours on. I'm like, all right, well, is that fasting? It
seems like a convenient thing for you.
If you can go a whole day to the next day, I'm like, all right, bro, it's a fast.
It's a fast.
There you go.
Yeah. I usually do 1 to 2 fasts a month where I'll do like 34 hours or more.
Nice.
Yeah.
What do you notice?
I'm really airy. So I find that, things that I wouldn't normally notice become very apparent. Like you had said, your sense of smell. Sometimes my sense of hearing gets amplified. The intensity of my meditation is significantly amplified. And my mental clarity becomes really skyrocketed as well, like you had mentioned.
Yeah.
And what that gives me the ability is during the fast is the words that I can choose to deliver have a lot more meaning than in a time when I'm not in a deep fast. Because sometimes nonsense comes to my mouth because I'm not able to process evenly. But when I'm on a fast, I'm running one way less. So I don't know, it's my synaptic energy or like spiritual energy or whatever it is that's allowing me to, give the words is
totally. Yeah. There's way less blabbering.
Yeah.
And I didn't even think of that, man. Like when I was out with my friend, I think he was kind of surprised that I was like much more reserved. It's like, you don't feel like just talking at every little point. You don't have like that energy. I feel like you maybe a little bit more introspective. And I was listening a lot more and just being like a lot more calm and relaxed. Whereas like, before my fast, I'd be like, just jumping off the wall kind of. What really helped, and I think I would definitely suggest this to anybody, is get yourself some ketone strips. Right, it's in the diabetes section of your CVS or wherever.
Click on the video below.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm sponsored by ketone strips.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. No, I mean, whenever you go to urinate in the bathroom, you just pee on the ketone strip, and then it shows you how deep in the ketosis you are. And ketosis, for anyone that doesn't know, when your body completely depletes all its glycogen in the liver and all the glucose in your bloodstream, it has to switch power supplies from, carbohydrate base to fat, right? And then your body starts producing ketones from your fat supply. And these ketones, like really, it's like a super clean energy, but it's not as like readily available.
Yeah. You have to gain access to it.
It's like a slower burn off. You know what I mean? Carbohydrates can burn quick. It's like doing a max bench press, but like ketones is like maybe doing like a long walk or something, like maybe more.
Yeah, like going on a bit of a backpacking adventure.
Yeah, exactly. But you think way clearer. And just knowing where you are in your ketone stage with the strips, it's perfect, man. Like I like to get to that dark purple stage where it's like
you're really
you're deep.
Yeah.
You're making a lot of ketones right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting.
Thanks, body.
Yeah, man. I feel like, being in deep ketosis is something I feel like everyone should try.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There are like ketosis diets too, where people like only eat proteins and fats, a lot of fats. I mean, the sugar industry completely wrecked fats.
Oh yeah, dude.
Like, remember, like I'd go to your place growing up and your parents be making a sandwich. I'd be like, yo, can you get the Miracle Whip?
And my parents would be like, the what?
Your dad used to just wreck me on the Miracle Whip.
Oh my God.
He'd be
Until
like,
the day he died, he was like, where's the Miracle Whip?
Yeah, man. Like the thing, like Miracle Whip, they're like, all right, we're going to go off the whole low fat thing, but we're just going to dump sugar in.
Yeah.
And the sugar industry heavily lobbied, all of health, and basically was like, fat is bad for you. like low fat everything, and then they just dump the sugar in it, and then we end up like more unhealthy than ever.
Yeah, and then they did the diet sodas. Diet sodas are so good for losing weight,
dude. Diet sodas. Oh man, you know what, man? It's like, do I really want to rip on diet sodas here on the internet? I'm like,
probably not.
I don't know, dude. Like, they're still very low calorie, but your body doesn't know what to do with the sweetener. I think it's I feel like I don't touch the stuff. Like the first couple of times I've ever had diet soda, my brain just told me like, this is awful. Yeah. Like my tongue told me it was awful, but like anyone you've ever met who loves diet soda, they'll say the same thing. They're like, it's an acquired taste.
Yeah.
They're like, once you get enough diet sodas in you, you prefer it.
Your stomach bacteria tells you that it's the greatest thing in the world.
Dude, I don't understand it, man. Yeah, upsetting a lot of diet drinkers out there, but
sorry,
hey,
guys.
we just don't understand you. I'll just take a regular soda.
You know, it's funny. Like, I used to really enjoy a Coca-Cola every single once in a while. That was like my soft drink of choice. Yeah. Except for when we were younger. We're big Mountain Dew kids.
Oh my gosh.
It's so much Mountain Dew. But I had stopped drinking Coca-Cola when I was in college because I did some research on Coca-Cola. And I'm not going to get into that, but I stopped drinking Coca-Cola cold. And I stopped drinking all soda. Yeah. And I think it was this past year, I was at like a Whole Foods type store. It's called Kimberton Whole Foods where we're at. And they had these cream sodas. And I was like, oh man, I haven't had a cream soda. I can't even remember one because I'd stopped drinking soda. And dude, when I put that sugary soft drink to my mouth, dude, it sent me right into a tailspin. And I was like, this is so good. I need to get another one. I was like, whoa, hold on, brain. Why are you thinking that?
Dude, soda will straight up hijack your brain. Yeah. I mean, yeah, on the Mountain Dew remark, like we used to drink a whole 12 pack in one night playing Halo.
Dude.
Like back before there was internet gaming, you had to go to someone's house, link up the Xboxes or whatever, and you bust out the Mountain Dews. That was just the go-to. Like I would drink Mountain Dew until I was sick.
Dude, we did a 24 pack of Mountain Dew when we got the new Dynasty Warrior game, and we beat it straight through. Dude.
I can't even go into the details with what Mountain Dew did to me. One time I drank too much. Is not good, dude.
We're probably sterile.
Oh my gosh, probably altered my DNA, bro. Like for real. Like, that's how much Mountain Dew I've had in like one night. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was the days, man. When like I just can't tolerate that. My body. Dude. 34, dude. I can't drink that much soda.
My knee would just blow up. I wouldn't be able to walk on my left leg. Dude,
I just like the inflammation in my body. You know what I mean? Like my lower back, just I got a pretty bad L4, L5 from football. Yeah, I have a couple sodas in me, and all of a sudden I'm getting back pain. I'm like, what the heck? Yeah, man. It's just there's kind of it's harder to eat healthy, and like you go to Wawa. I was walking around I love Wawa. Like, listen, as gunky as the selection is, it's like, can't hate on Wawa, bro. I mean, you can, dude. I love Wawa, but it's just like, I'm going up and down these aisles. I'm like, man, there's really not much that like is good for you in any of these aisles. They have that little circle thing in the middle where you can get like the apple packs. They took the skin off for whatever reason on the apples, but yeah.
I mean, I'm super disillusioned to like the food industry in general. Just to, like quick drop it. Like I walk in a grocery store and like I walk into the produce section and like maybe over towards the dairy section and I'm like, all right, well, what else is food here? What else is food in the store right now?
Well, I mean, you got a whole lot of cardboard.
Dude, it's just like a lot of it just is specific to the United States. Like you could take the exact package. And you go to, Canada or maybe not Canada anymore, but you go to Europe and the exact same product has real food, but over here it's not.
Dude, I mean, the FDA is like supposed to be protecting us, right? But yeah, like you take a box of Fruit Loops, look at the ingredients on a box of Fruit Loops from the United States and a box of Fruit Loops from Europe, and then be like, okay, wait, what? Like over there, they're like, yeah, you can't put that. That causes health problems. Take that out. And yet we do that, we fluoridate our water. Not a fan of that. Don't need to get down that rabbit hole, but I mean,
there's so many divisive things that try to hijack our ability to have self-healing ability. And the most self-healing ability is to just eat good food and to not eat when you don't need to.
Yeah.
It's just the way our bodies are designed. And like really the whole basis of like our bodies becoming better in general is like, all right, well, you're sore because you worked out. What's the only thing that's going to make you feel better? To go work out again. You're sore because you stretched. What's the only thing that's going to make you feel better? Stretch again. And before you know it, you're sticking your head between your legs and you're freaking deadlifting freaking like more than your body weight over your head. And it's no big deal because it's a building process. You know, the moment that we lean into complacency, that everything just starts crashing down around you. You're just like, oh, let me go grab this quick thing and eat it. Oh, I'm kind of tired today. I'm not going to go do that.
Yeah.
And then before you know it, your brain's totally hijacked and you're just sitting there playing Dynasty Warriors, sipping Mountain Dew with a beer gut, you know?
Yeah. Oh no, Lubu.
Lubu!
Yeah. Oh man, like 5 people got that one.
Maybe less.
You know, probably less, dude. We're nerds. Yeah, I had this big wake up call around 21. And, you know, I went to undergrad at Thomas Jefferson, and all my friends, though, were going to med school at Thomas Jefferson. And by the way, fantastic education at Thomas Jefferson, honestly, not to hate on it. But, you know, they were graduating, becoming doctors. And I remember being like, hey, like, what did you guys learn about nutrition? And they were like, nothing. Dude, nothing. I was like, it was just this moment. I was like, wait, what? I'm like, you're an MD and you didn't learn anything about nutrition? Because medicine's not about that. It's not about preventative. And like you said, like food can heal the body. I mean, my dad had a really high rate of dying from a certain type of cancer. And, you know, instead of going the traditional route, he decided to do the Budwig diet.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, we all know food can make us sick.
That's healthy fats and high antioxidants, right?
Yeah. But is it really hard to think that like food can heal us? It's like, no, of course food can heal us. And, you know, getting that message out to people, I feel like is huge because like the Chinese knew about it way back, just like Eastern medicine, man, they had it all figured out. This herb for that, this herb for that. And it's like, dude, like, you know, even in the Bible, like God just says like, yo, like everything you need to heal your body, like is there. I made something for it. This plant, you know, and like, I'm just starting to get kind of accustomed to like, what's what, you know, like, I'm like, oh, clove, wormwood, you know, black walnut. These are like anti-parasitic things, you know, garlic, antiviral. And I'm like, wow, man, like all these different foods, they just all give us something completely different. And there's just, you don't learn about it.
Yeah. And like the crazy thing about it is, you know, the further you travel into the herbalist, like agricultural / horticultural thing is we learn that there's even things that are like poisonous for us. But in small doses, they can heal things that are like super significant. In fact,
Apricot seeds.
There's so many things.
I think I heard like this area with apricot seeds. They were eating the seeds too, and like no one had cancer in that area.
Yeah.
What?
There's so many things like that.
Yeah.
And there are things that have toxicity levels, but in the proper dosage, you know, it has tremendous healing effects on a cellular level. And you know, we were talking earlier about how the fast regenerates your cellular body. It wakes everything up. It starts a mosh pit and everything starts vibrating back into frequency again.
Yeah.
Huh? So in the same way, like sometimes you need to create some sort of disturbance. Like I was just saying with like a specific kind of herb or you know, I'm trying to think of something that's really poisonous, but you know, I'm actually not going to say that because somebody might take too much of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe like, well, Wave Function Podcast told me to, you know.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now I'm on my deathbed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, man. And, you know, just kind of figuring out what to do in the supermarket, what to buy, things like that. I mean, it's crazy how expensive it all is now, though. It's just like, I feel like we're being pushed out financially of like healthier options. And like, I can't even imagine, like I do pretty well for myself. You know, if I was making like a half or a quarter of what I'm making now and still being asked to eat healthy, it's like, can they even do it for the same, you know, it's like.
I mean, if you really care about it, so I'm just about in that percentage that you just described. if you really make it a point of your life,
Yeah.
that's a really high value to you, because we all have our own values. Then if that's what you focus on, it becomes your perception, and it just occurs. I meditated on it, I prayed for it, and now I have abundance in that way.
Perfect. That's awesome, man. Any specific vitamins, foods, things that you're like can't go without? I mean, I know
man,
magnesium powder was a thing you're taking.
dude, I love magnesium powder, but like on like a more simple note, like eat fresh organic celery or like juice it regularly.
Yeah.
If you can have access to your local fruits, like fruits are like the most high vibrational food you can eat, so definitely eat your fruits. And like if you can get like sprouts in your diet relatively regularly, do that. And like I'm big on using my pressure cooker. Like sometimes eating on a healthy diet can be really, really difficult.
Yeah.
So like I buy, like whole buckwheat groats or like whatever, rice, beans, and I just soak them in hot water and drain them, and I make fresh food with the vegetables that I have in season and mix them with that stuff. And then I have tons of food because of that, and it's relatively affordable compared to like going to the store and buying the quick mix packs of whatever, and then, just trying to shuffle your way through the budget shopping, going from store to store, seeing what's cheapest. It's challenging, dude. So challenging.
Yeah. Well, yeah, man, I think it can be difficult to, shop in general. Do you find like during a fast, right, there have been times where if you only have like one type of food, right, without like anytime we eat, we mix a million different things with it. It's like, this and this, it's like 20 ingredients, right? But I have had times during where I'm like ending a fast where like I just have one type of food, like only have orange juice or like only have carrots or like, and then I feel like you really get in touch with that one thing.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, wow, like I didn't realize this one food really affected me this way, because anytime I eat it, I'm eating it with 20 other ingredients. Like energetically, can you speak to any personal experience with certain foods? I mean, I think you had a story about oranges.
Dude, oranges. So oranges are, for me, I have a really deep relationship with oranges from this particular story. So me and my wife, we bought a whole bag of oranges for each of us because they're super cheap. They're like,
how many do you think are in the bag?
I think there was like probably like 20 oranges.
Okay,
in each
these
bag.
are big bags.
They were huge bags. They were really cheap. It was like less than $10 a bag.
Okay.
So we're like, all right, well,
this must have been forever ago.
It was a while ago. Actually, it was pre.
Okay, before. Yeah.
Yeah. So we each got our own bag of oranges, and like normally I juice the oranges by peeling them and then running them through my blender at the time because I didn't have a good juicer, and then I would strain it through a nut seed bag. But I was like, oh, forget it. I was like, I'm sure there's something cool in the rinds too. Like I don't really know much about it. I'm just gonna blend the entire bag after I wash all these oranges. So I blended
with the rind.
With the rind.
Okay.
Blended the entire bag. And it was delicious. It was a little abrasive because there was a lot of oils in it. It was really fatty on the top. But I was like, I'll just drink it, hold my nose and just bang it in. And it tasted good. And then Kate went on to one side of the house because she was, doing some artwork stuff. And then I went on the other side of the house because, I just was chilling out in the bedroom. I think I was doing some sort of like trading research at the time. And then at the same time, Kate and me both started feeling it. And what we were feeling, we weren't quite as sure. So Kate was like, hey, you feeling that? And like, she's yelling.
She's in like
and
the
I
other
was
room.
like, I'm high. And she's like, oh yeah.
Oh, really?
And we were just completely buzzing out. And like the best way I can describe it, dude, so high vibe. The best way I can describe it is I felt like, I guess Sunny D would be a good way to describe it. And I don't mean the drink, but like I just was like blasting sunlight. Yeah, like, when you hear like a really, really high frequency and it's like, ah. Yeah, exactly. Oh, man. Exactly, dude.
Yeah, man. That's
super high vibe.
Okay. How long that last?
Oh, man. I don't actually remember how many hours it lasted, but it was definitely hours.
Do you think if you recreated the whole thing, you would get that same vibe? Or was it kind of
I really don't know. I would never try it again
Yeah.
because it gave me a really, really bad stomach ache from all the orange
Rind?
oil. Yeah,
Yeah.
there was a lot of orange oil in my stomach. It messed up my stomach for like 3 days.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, I don't recommend it.
Was it worth it?
You know what? It was worth the singular experience.
Okay.
Yeah, because I had gained a new relationship with oranges that I didn't know was possible. And when I was tapped in on that level, it was like psychedelic. It was psychedelic is the best way to describe it.
Dang.
Yeah,
Were
it
you
was-
like meditating at all or anything? Or-
So my meditation, it's gonna sound kind of like lame, but I was meditating on money. Was what I was meditating
Sure.
on. And then like all of a sudden somebody reached out to me online and was like, I want to mentor you on doing this Forex trading.
Wow.
And like I had a phone call set up within like 15 minutes.
Wow.
And this is all while I was
Pulled
on these
that right in,
oranges.
man.
Dude, like zapped in 888, like right there, dude.
Damn.
Money coming to me. Yeah.
That's just how it works, man. Sometimes you just like you get in a really good mindset, and things just fall in your lap.
Yeah, dude, it's just flowing through you, man.
You're like, oh wait, that's how the universe works. It's like, yeah.
Yeah. Once you tap into the vibration.
Once you get high off like 20 oranges, you know.
Well, you were saying too, like
Wow, 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 wow.
you felt your cells vibrating, right? Like that's like such a simple way of thinking about the healing process. So cells, when they become complacent, right? What do? It isn't that one cell comes be complacent and just kind of like falls off into the corner of the room. Like all the cells around it become lazy too, because they don't not the other cells aren't going to pick up the slack. You know, they're like, oh, we can all chill out. Let's chill. So what does it take? You know, it takes like right action, like true intelligence, or, you know, like a mosh pit cell is the best way to think of it, you know? And then what ends up happening is they'll start banging into each other and causing like a rager inside of your cellular body, you know? And then before you know it, everybody starts to flow. And then it just becomes like this beautiful vibration, like a wave.
Dude,
of
you
all the
probably
cells
got
moving together.
like 2,000% of the vitamin C you needed.
Oh my, dude, I don't even think that's enough. Like way more than that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that was probably one of the key, you know, components of the vibe, right? Just how much vitamin C you were getting.
Definitely. I had so intensely embodied the energy of sunshine. Like there was another experience that I had. I was on like a really, really long meditation for like 8 hours, just to be straight about it. I was meditating for 8 hours. And during like the peak experience of this meditation, I could feel the sunshine like corresponding to all living things around me. And like, I'm not going to get into like the real fine details of it, but like when the sun shines super bright, like I felt the connection to the butterflies and the ants and the flies and the trees and the roots beneath the trees and the fungus, like all at the same time corresponding to when the clouds would move over the sun and when the sun would reappear. How everything would just vibrate.
Tapped in, man.
Dude, it was really, really amazing.
You make me want to try this orange thing, dude, but I don't know if I could deal with 3 days of gastric issues.
Dude, I really don't recommend it. I would never, I wouldn't wish it on somebody.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, it was a really weird, intense gastro movement. Yeah.
Okay. You know, garlic for me has been a weird one. You know,
Me too.
my you know, a year ago, my friends were like, "Yeah, you got to try garlic raw," and I've never done that.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, like I'll Snapchat them a little video of me, you know, biting some garlic, and I remember it burning my mouth hotter than like the hottest hot sauce. I don't know what was releasing, but like the longer you chew it in your mouth, just this components get like bled out, and you're like, oh my god, my mouth's on fire.
So I'm really sensitive to garlic, and it burns my insides when I eat it, and I stink like garlic for like days afterwards. When I'm ill, I take garlic medically because you were saying before it's antiviral, right? So when I start to feel the onset of illness, I take garlic, but I can't eat garlic raw this way. So what I do is I ferment it in honey.
I've heard that's the move.
That's the move.
Yeah, a lot of people. Yeah.
Just stick it in a jar of honey that's just about finished, like 2 or 3, 4 or 5 cloves, how many you want to put in there. Just make sure they're fully covered, and then stir it up for like 2 to 3 weeks, and then they're good.
Yeah. And honey is like the one food that never goes bad.
Yeah, as long as you don't get like moisture or like weird bacteria buried in whatever you mix into it, it should be fine.
Have you ever heard that like beekeepers live longer?
Yeah.
Because the resonant frequency of the bees is like healing.
Oh man. So I have so many things to say on bees. Bees are super high vibe.
Yeah.
The way bees move through space-time doesn't make sense. If you really get down into it.
Oh, I've heard, yeah, but explain.
So when bees are moving, like when I was super tapped in, I was telling you, I could literally see them like moving through space-time differently than the other things. The other thing that was moving this way were butterflies. And what do they feed on all the time?
Nectar.
They feed on nectar. So the way that they're moving through space-time, it's almost like they're moving on parallel dimensions simultaneously. They were like moving through space with like, I guess like a snail trail is the only way I can describe like what I was seeing.
I feel like they're like almost on energetic ley lines. And we mentioned on one of my podcasts previously how like bees can essentially detect which flowers have more pollen or not based off their magnetism.
Yeah.
I guess the more pollen there is, I think the more negative the plant becomes.
Yeah.
And the bees have like a very positive charge, so they just fly around and they can feel the charge. But I feel like I've also heard that the bees' wings aren't fully what put them in flight.
That's correct.
Yeah. And
yeah. I saw
it's just
that.
Crazy, dude.
They aren't really flying. Like, all right, you can say in theory they're flying. They have wings.
But it's more like an energetic thing. They're almost like, I don't know if anti-gravity. That's not,
they're
it's
vibrating
like wild,
through time
dude.
space.
Yeah.
Like they say that some people who are like really, really advanced in meditation can levitate. Or, well, I wouldn't say they say, this is a fact. People can levitate because they have such a high level of meditation. You can look it up, you'll find it.
Like the sadhus.
Yeah, like sages, yogis of India, and people that have just really taken austerity very seriously in their life have also attained like these, we'll call them like mystical feats because they are kind of breaking the laws of physics. But what's going on is that you realize that, all right, well, I'm not this body. I'm not my mind. What am I, right? And then you start vibrating on that frequency, and then, the dimension, which is, we'll just say casual around you, becomes mundane, and you start moving above the mundane atmosphere.
Well, another thing I learned about bees, just back to that, is that the honeycomb pattern that they create is actually based off the resonant frequency they're putting out.
Exactly.
So they're not even like, I think anyone's first guess is like, oh, these bees are like literally building a honeycomb. And then you're like, oh, they're not doing that at all. They're literally just all like resonating and flapping in a way that it's naturally creating this hexagon pattern, which just happens to be the most efficient packing system you can put on a 2D plane, period.
Yeah. It's like the strongest building structure. You ever see like dome houses? Like you could drop like a freaking tree on top of it and the tree will roll off the side of it. It's just such a genius design, and it's the design of like the ultimate mechanical structure. And according to their vibration, right, the 6-pointed star, right, the heart chakra, they're just vibrating at that like high frequency of like love all the time. And they're like nectar, flowers, gonna buzz around, gonna make some delicious saliva. That's just their vibe all the time.
Yeah, man. And then we come in and take it. Give me that honey.
Give it.
Yeah.
When I was doing a little beekeeping when I lived in Hawaii.
Okay.
The bees were really friendly. So there was an aggro hive. There was a very easily agitated hive that I didn't spend a lot of time around.
Would you smoke them out with the...
I never had to smoke them out.
Wow.
Yeah, they were just really friendly. So what I found
bee
was...
suit?
No.
Oh.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. When I weed whacked around the one hive, I did wear a bee suit.
Yeah.
But that's just because I knew that I'd be shooting shrapnel at them and they'd be like, why is he doing this?
Okay.
And that was just, I had to make money, so I did it. But yeah, when I was going over to their hive, or like I was bringing them something, because sometimes I'd like bring them the excess comb or extra honey back, they just like be all over my body and just be like buzzing all over me. And it felt so good. If you ever have an opportunity to just hang out around happy bees, and you aren't afraid of them because they can sense that, the experience you get from just hanging out in their vibration.
What, you can sense the fear of bees in me? Is that what you're saying?
No, it wasn't what I was saying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think you just had a little slip on me.
Yeah, all right. Because I was like, I kind of am. I don't know, man. I've had, some bites in the past.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. Well, fear is what bewilders our intelligence. You know, is like the first base level. That's why so many things keep us in a state of fear that are all around us all the time. You know, and like when you're in a state of fasting, you're fighting your natural survival tendency. So you're encouraging yourself to be more involved on your inner process and fighting your mental faculties that are natural to you. You know, you're almost like boycotting the system by, fasting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the switching gears just a little bit,
No, please.
on the meditation aspect, have you had any experience with Kundalini?
Kundalini. So I've had a couple of different like awakening experiences. I don't really typically talk about them just because, like, I don't know, I feel like it's kind of like my business. Like the best secret is the secret of silence.
Sure, no, 100%. I'll spill the beans on a little experience that share. Yeah, so I mean, I go to Envision Festival every year, and I do this Kundalini class, and from what I understand, it was like this deep breathing exercise with like certain motions.
Do you know what you're doing breathing? Could you describe it for me?
It's like,
okay, so you're doing like gobbledygook. Probably you're using your abdomen to pump your stomach and breathe quickly.
Yeah, my nose is a little clogged up, but like if this was coming through my nose, it'd be like with like a certain motion, and then you change up motions. And I remember like I'd done it twice in my life ever. The first time, I felt like this vibrating kind of like going on, and I gave up. Like I like stopped, because you hit this point where like you're so oxygenated, you're like, I'm gonna pass out. Like if I keep breathing like this, I'm literally gonna black out, right? Then a year later, when I was super hyped for the class, I'm like, oh, this guy is amazing. I went in on it, and it started happening again. And it started in my fingertips. It was like that sensation where you've been breathing too much.
Yeah.
And you get like hyper oxygenated. It started in my fingertips and started to go up my arms. And it felt like my arms were lighting on fire. And all of a sudden it was in my legs too. And everything was moving towards my core. And I was like, what is going on right now? And I got to a point where it was probably like all my limbs. And the moment I got to my core, I couldn't do it anymore. I didn't push through. I was like, this is like...
It's uncomfortable.
The level of like energy I was at was like, I couldn't even believe it. I'm like, this is literally insane.
So it's really interesting, your point that you're making here, because everybody has their own individual experiences with, there's even different kinds of like awakenings or samadhis that you can have. When you push to a certain level, your neurological patterns inside your body become expanded, and you have a certain amount, that your body can handle. And each time that you have an experience that's of this high level of intensity, of breakthrough, of really pushing your vital energy around outside of yourself, what happens is each experience where you continue to do that, it's almost like lifting in the gym where you're pushing your max bench, like you were speaking about a moment ago. The same things too with your spiritual reflexes on your subtle body. So as you...
Like you can work them up.
You have to work
each
them
rep.
up.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to work them up.
Because when we got done the Kundalini, I actually told that exact story I just told you to this woman next to me, and she said, you got to keep going. I'm like, what? She's like, if you'd have kept going, that energy in your limbs would have made it to your torso. And then she's like, then you just blast off.
Yeah.
And like, not to be inappropriate, but she looked at me, she's like, you can literally have full body orgasms once you get that energy to like your core. And I was like, what?
That's interesting. So I've heard a lot of different things.
I'm just like, oh my gosh, man. But like,
I've never had an orgasm.
It was so much energy.
Yeah.
It was like, I literally felt like I was shaking.
You were probably shaking.
Yeah. And I was like, I got to a point where I'm like, I'm not used to this. And I'm like super uncomfortable with the intensity. It felt like a flame.
Yeah.
Not like a painful flame, Just like but it did feel like it was like a heat that came with it. And I backed off completely. I kind of wish I would have pushed through, but I don't know what would have happened,
It's okay. You have more opportunities. You're not dead yet.
Yeah, next time I do this class in March, I'm definitely gonna like just keep going because it's hard to not want to, just stop breathing for like a second. You breathe like nonstop like that. Mm-hmm. It's different.
Yeah, you stimulate the body to have a response.
I feel like you're just hyper oxygenating every cell in your body, and your body's not used to it.
No.
So,
I'll kind of just give a little bit about some sort of experiences that I've had. When you start to push further into your threshold, if you know how to direct your energy, you can have different effects. So, for example, if you know how to, this is also like another austerity, if you know how to cross your eyes and stare inward at your brain with your eyes like open or closed, you can stimulate your pineal gland. So as you're raising that energy with that really intense breathing, right, you're going to have like a really intense breakthrough when it gets to your skull. And when it gets to your skull, different things can happen given on your proclivities or your ability to harness that energy with your neurological expansion, right? Because you might not be to the level where you can, but like, you could like see with your eyes closed, you could experience your light body. You could see what type of light energy was moving through your body and where it was blocked.
Yeah.
You could experience other beings around you and their light bodies. Right. But you're fully opening up at this point. Like your third eye's like cracking open at that point. And I wouldn't say you're in the intuition center. You're like breaking out of your physical form, moving into a different state of your reality.
If I'd have closed my eyes and really pushed through so my whole body was feeling that, dude, I don't even know what would have happened, man. I definitely would have felt like some sort of transcendence in the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, it really draws you into the presence.
So, yeah, I mean, strongly suggest Kundalini.
Yeah.
I feel like it could be like very...
Kundalini.
Yeah, man. I think it's really easy to be a shallow breather, to not breathe through your nose 100% of the time and, be a mouth breather at times where you're congested or whatever. But we're designed to be breathers through our nose and to breathe deeper. And that's something that's like kind of odd because like it's an autonomic thing. Like your pons in your brain is what controls your breathing. It's autonomic, right? But, we do have moments where we become conscious of it. And then it's like, all right, I need to breathe deeper. That's why you just have these moments where like you get stressed out or something. And it's like your body just goes, because it needs it. And that's one of the biggest, like when you can control your breath, you can just control your mindset. And that's the weird thing that like I kind of took out of Kundalini and I'm like, oh, this is crazy. Like, how much power your breath has. And like, you're like, dude, I'm literally just breathing in life force. And there's just these moments where, especially if you're feeling anxious, it's just like you breathe so shallow and you get into like what you think is a relaxed state, but you're like kind of deoxygenated and, your brain doesn't function as well. And so breathe deep, breathe through your nose.
Yeah, make it count. Once you stop breathing, you die.
Oh, man.
So I was mentioning to Justin earlier today is that there's these people that even exist now that are called these breatharians. And like, all right, whoa, people just living on air. It's a thing.
I don't doubt it, man.
There was a yogi that just died recently, but I'm pretty sure he was in his 80s or late 70s. I think he was in his 80s though. And he, from a small child, had stopped eating. And he was just living on his vital air. He was totally mastered the art of not eating.
So,
or drinking for that matter.
I'm so easy to convince on these topics, right? So let me just play devil's advocate for a second. It's like, dude, all right, anyone listening, like, yeah, but you need calories.
But do you? What do you need calories for? Because
calories give my cells the energy they need to operate my body.
Then what does the air do?
The air gives you the oxygen and nitrogen.
So when you were experiencing recently, when you were in that Kundalini class, that energy coming up through your body, what was that energy?
Oxygen.
It was just really intense oxygen overload?
Yeah. I mean, listen, hey, again, I don't doubt it, man. There's some crazy stuff I've seen on the internet pre-AI. And I'll tell you what, AI has ruined like crazy videos for me.
Yeah.
Like 2 years, like, dude, 3 years ago, you see a video, it's like, that's fairly factual. Like pictures used to be evidence. And now we're moving into this age where it's like pictures aren't evidence anymore. And neither are, so like, dude, like the internet in the last year and a half has just spilled with this cesspool of fake AI videos of like motherships and like catastrophes. And it's just kind of killed my vibe on like looking into any of that. I mean, I used, in my 20s, I spent a lot of time watching UFO videos, and I've seen some stuff that's absolutely permanently deleted off the internet. I'm not going to get into that, but I've seen some real legit.
It's there and then not.
Yeah, they just swept that up real quick. Yeah. But like today, if I see anything that's like crazy, I don't know what to think, man. I'm kind of like, that whole genre is dead to me. And it was like really weird because like I love seeing crazy stuff on the internet, but like I've reached a disconnect where I'm like, dude, the AI's gotten too good. And in like 5 years' time, you're really just absolutely going to not be able to tell the difference.
Yeah.
Period. You're going to need an AI to tell you whether or not it's AI. It's like, do you even trust that AI to tell you whether or not that's AI? It's like, there's this weird dynamic.
Well, that's where like your ability to have dissociation from things that don't matter is really going to be harnessed at its full capacity. Because if you
100%, man,
dude, and like when things need to be revealed to us at any time during our life, right? Anytime that something needs to come out, like it comes out, and it is truth, or within your realm of perception is truth.
Yeah.
Right. It just becomes evident to you immediately when you're hearing it because it resonates with you, just like the bees creating their hive around you. It's just, it becomes locked in.
Yeah. That, and, I've really grown to learn more about intuition, and I feel like intuition can be just everything, man. You look at something and it's just like, is it real or is it not? It's almost like there's like a higher self of you that just knows.
Oh, 120%.
Your higher
like million%.
Yeah, and like like more than anything, communication. Right? You talk to somebody and they say something. They say it so smooth, right? It's a lie. They used every correct word. Every single facial feature they gave you is perfect to authenticate that. And then there's this part of you that's like, that's not true at all.
Bad sales pitch.
And it's like getting in touch with that and not gaslighting your intuition.
Yeah.
That's the tough thing, man. You're like, oh man, like I really don't think they're telling the truth on this thing. And then you like try to convince yourself otherwise. And it's like, all right, well, what is intuition? And like, I can't help but think it's like something outside of like my physical synapses in my head. My intuition it supersedes that.
It does.
And so I'm just like, all right, well, my intuition's saying this. And it's crazy, dude. Like there's a lot of things that like I've steered clear from because of my intuition. And then years later, like just those things crumble. Like, dude, I remember like learning about FTX, that one crypto exchange.
Oh,
dude,
yeah.
Years ago, that gave me a bad taste. I'm like, I'm not touching this thing. I just had this feeling. I'm like, yo, like that, the way they're advertising like crazy. I'm like, they're giving me a really bad feeling. Like, I don't trust this thing. And then all of a sudden, years later, it's like, stole all your crypto. Hey, sorry, guys, I backdoored it. Whatever. Sorry.
It's all in the Swiss bank account. Yeah. Don't worry about it, guys.
Yeah.
I got it.
Or whoops.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Like, it's trusting your intuition. It's weird because I feel like you can't really control your intuition. It's like a thought of its own. And you just like, you trust it or you don't. I mean, I feel like there are moments when it could be wrong, but I don't know, man. It's just like, that's just my physical body, like just being like, really?
It's your spiritual muscle that you're flexing. And the more comfortable you become with that relationship with it, then the stronger it becomes.
Yeah.
And what is the block to our intuition? It's our false intuition.
Talking about that some.
So, we have these points in our mind where we have this innate feeling, and maybe it's coming from the mind or from the heart, or depending on the scenario at which something's being presented to you, what part of your emotional body it's hitting, right? If it doesn't feel right in that emotional part of your body, whether it's like your mind literally tells you after you have the experience in your stomach or your heart or whatever, if you don't trust it initially, or you gaslight yourself into believing that it's not true,
Right.
then the experience becomes a fiasco for you
Totally.
because you didn't trust that immediately.
Yeah.
You know, and it supersedes our intelligence because it's part of our higher intelligence. It's part of our higher intellect, so to speak.
And, you know, I mentioned this on like a previous episode with you, is like seeing the mind's eye chakra when I was younger. It just kind of like, I told myself at a younger age, I'm like, yo, I have really good intuition, and you are what you say you are, dude. You know, the English language it's a Germanic language. It's like the most mastered language for spelling. And I mean, they call it spelling for a reason. It's like spell casting.
Yeah.
You're spelling. And it's like crazy because to me, it's like, I looked into all these languages and there's a lot of them that have that aspect, but like English is almost like the perfected version of it. And it's like it's like your words have so much power. Crazy. So when you say something like, I have good intuition, or I remember names well, that's a big one, man. I meet a lot of people. They're like, I can't remember anyone's names. It's like, of course you can't, because you tell yourself you can't. And your brain took that in, your subconscious, which, you know, can't filter out things the same way as your conscious. Just like, yeah, I'm terrible with names. Screw remembering names. You know,
you're
like,
sending mixed signals, you know, especially that's like the number one thing in gaslighting your progress as far as becoming more situated in what your life purpose is that as you continuously fall into these holes and you can't tell that you're falling into it because, you know, you're not following your intuition at whatever milestone that you continuously are missing, right? Then you're like, oh man, now I'm in this hole again. I got to dig myself out of, right? And you just continuously do this over and over again. And like when there is no choice left but to make that right decision, then you start making progress, right? And that's the same for, you know, I've spoken with quite a few individuals that I would consider like really high level of spiritual intelligence, like superseding the casual by far.
yeah.
And the thing is when there's no other choice left, that all that remains is to just be fully in your consciousness and your life purpose. That's what happens. You know, enlightenment is possible in this lifetime, right?
Yeah.
It's your ability to continuously walk around the roadblocks that you're creating for yourself and avoid the pitfalls that you may be falling in on a daily.
Yeah, man. I got a homie right now. My buddy Aaron I met down in Costa Rica. He's actually going to Nepal right now to study for a month with the monks and stuff. I'm like, dude, you're awesome, man. I'm like, man, I wish I could put my life on hold just to do something like that, you know. And I'm sure I could have that opportunity if I really sought that out. But I feel like that's just a huge undertaking.
It is.
I'm like,
it's a heck of an austerity. This fast, but like full fast in a different way.
It's crazy, man. I mean, he read a lot about that, and we discussed things. He was telling me crazy stuff like how Buddhists actually, some of them can get to a point where they can choose to leave this earth as a light body.
Yeah.
And like they'll literally be like, I don't know if they tell anyone they're going, but it's just like, yo, everyone, like I'm out. Next meditation, I'm just gonna, yeah, dude, just, and then that's how they pass on to like the next stage. And I feel like that's got to be the purest way. I can't think of a more pure way. You know, I mean, you could die and your light body leaves that way, or you could just like literally just choose to go. And there have been like some pictures, I guess, like a few that people kind of caught. They're kind of wild looking.
Yeah, it's like a rainbow.
Yeah, it's like a rainbow coming out of them. And, you know, I think that this is pre-Photoshop too. So you guys got to remember that. But
yeah, some of them are even like the floppy
Polaroid stuff. Yeah,
exactly.
Exactly. So it's just like, all right, well, unless they had all these special effects going on. They got like the fog machines and the lasers.
Yeah, right. At the very top of these Himalayan and Nepalese mountains, you know?
Yeah, man. But it's like, if I, you know, listen, if I can go out, like, I feel like that's the best way. I don't know.
So
like, I'll just choose to, because
apparate through the hole in the back of your skull.
Yeah, whatever that is.
So yeah, the
foramen magnum.
It's they call it the bindu
Okay.
in Sanskrit, or the Buddhists would call it the bindu, or the yogis. And when you've created full mastery over your energy centers of your body, you can move the semen up through your brain and out through the back of your skull, is the way that they describe it in sacred texts.
Okay.
So your ability to raise your kundalini past your light body and eject it through the back of your skull is how you leave your body that way.
Oh. Well, when you do it, you can come back and tell me how it was.
Yeah, right.
How was it?
Yeah. I think that part of that austerity is a full celibacy.
Yeah.
To have that specific reaction. I don't know that factually, but I know that there's like levels of what's called like brahmacharya. All right, and the first level of brahmacharya, somebody would tell you in like a yoga studio would be like, all right, well, you're controlling your desires. And all right, well, that's pretty superficial. So the second layer would be like, you think very highly of the opposite sex. I was like, all right, you're getting a lot better now.
Yeah.
All right, you only have sex for procreation. Or you're getting even better yet. So that's getting closer to the definition. And then there's full celibacy, right? And then there's never having ejaculated or having an orgasm, which is like nishtika brahmacharya, which is like really intense.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I would imagine that has a significant role in your ability to do that. Because even when I have really intense experiences through meditation, you know, I'm married and like I have a healthy romantic life, just to put it simply. And I go long stints before I go into these really intense meditations.
Yeah.
And the power that I have is much more significant then.
Oh, definitely. I mean, you know, it's a life force. Literally gives life, and I feel like we just so needlessly get rid of it. I mean, I think I've said on the podcast more than once, super anti-pornography. Been that for a long time, dude. I have not consumed pornography in many years. I never had a problem with it. You know, I don't want to put that out there like, oh, would you? I never had a problem with it, but I've seen it, and it was always just this awful feeling, and you feel like you're just mindlessly releasing.
Yeah.
And you just feel physically drained.
And something's feeding on you almost.
And it's exactly. And you know, I think dude, I mean, I have such strong opinions about this. I mean, I feel like it's a plague to society, man. I think it's kind of ruining our youth. You know, the men are just on so many levels, they become sexually desensitized. Their expectations of what a healthy sexual relationship get plummeted. And listen, like with any partner I have, I'm like, listen, like I don't watch pornography. Like I expect the same of you. Like to me, it's just not healthy whatsoever.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, man. Like I knew someone who would explain to me the actual statistics of divorce. And it was like, I think it was like number one, dude. It was like,
whoa.
it was like way up there. I was just like,
that's so intense.
It is. Yeah. And it was also related to erectile dysfunction in the men, but that was caused from pornography. And I'm like, listen, like, I just feel like we've gotten to a state, you know, where like sex is kind of over consuming culture.
Yeah.
It's like, and when you can desexualize your mind, you know, especially as a man, you just take your power back.
Absolutely.
There's so much like energy that is wasted. Like our limbic lizard brain, like growing up, you're like, oh, I just want to get laid. And, you know, and like, you just, that like,
you're having that sympathetic response almost.
Yeah.
To it,
and like having that like, you know, frontal lobe, like more like, no, I should be working on my career. I should be bettering myself. Like it, you know, that can all go to the wayside, man. Think about just the amount of energy on the planet right now. Crazy. Dudes just trying to get laid.
Yeah. Their number one drive is
it's insane, man.
Sex.
And
the more money I can have, the more sex I can have.
Yeah. And then it's like every little thing they like, yeah, actually, I'd like to really improve my career so I can get laid more. And it's like, oh, all right, dude. Well, you know, and it's funny, like when I hear Elon Musk, you know, he's talked about this a million times. He's like, having sex without procreation is actually really silly.
Yeah.
He's actually, it's you know, and like, you know, he's kind of a strange guy. And I think like to him, it's like, you know, he's got a bunch of kids too, like and a bunch of different women. But like to him, I'm thinking like sex is a lot more of like a, hey, are we having kids? Like I'm trying to procreate.
Yeah.
That's the purpose of this act, right? And, spilling that kind of energy, and let alone on a screen, is ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like, I could never watch that stuff again, honestly. And I think it's just a shame too with a lot of things like OnlyFans. And I just don't think that they understand the long-term implications of putting that image on the internet. It's like a high-value person's just never going to be able to brush off a lot of things,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
For sure. You're starving yourself emotionally, and you're not only starving yourself emotionally on like a deeper sympathetic and empathetic level, but you're also doing the same thing to your partner, and you just don't even know you're doing it.
Yeah, and I think it's it's a betrayal.
Yeah.
It's the whole thing is kind of ridiculous, and it's been normalized.
Yeah.
To the point I'm like, I would say probably at least 80 to 90% of like any male listeners of this part of the podcast, they're just either bothered or just in not necessarily disagreement.
Thumbs down.
They're more just like, I don't know, I don't think it's a big deal. And it's like, all right, dude, well, on a mass scale, it's a super big deal for society. But I mean, you personally, I'm not trying to bag on anyone individually. Like, not at all. It's just like, but when like all the boys growing up are doing it, and then their expectations of with like other girls, like I was in at the beach this summer in New Jersey, and I just rolled up to this like park with my girlfriend, and these like younger boys, maybe like 12 years old. They, I was talking them up, and they really enjoyed me, and they're like, "Yo, you hitting that?" And I'm just like, "What?" And I look at them like, "Don't talk to me like that.
Yeah.
What are you doing, dude? That's so disrespectful. That's not how you talk to anybody." And they've just kind of become desensitized, where they feel like they can talk about sexuality and these vulgar points because of the normalcy of ingesting these kind of things.
I mean, it's just the hyper speed of our social networking that we have currently is like, just for example, the other day, I'm a yoga instructor, and I hopped on TikTok to see if there was like any cool yoga sequences. So I typed in yoga, and the first thing I get is like girls in down dog with like a shot directly at their butt. And I'm like, all right, let me try that again. Men doing yoga. And I got 2 guys doing yoga. And then the third one down was a dude who was probably homosexual doing the same thing that I got in the first image.
Oh my gosh, man.
And I was like, all right, let me try this again. Yoga pose sequence. And then it was like just the exact same thing again. And I was like, I am using...
Bro, there's such a letdown. Like Instagram, TikTok, all of them, Andy. It's the algorithms. They're so mass consumed by the public that when you go searching for something, like they just want to get clicked on or whatever. Like, dude, I've been on my Instagram feed, and I'll hold the button down like when I see something like that, and I'm like, do not show me this.
Yeah.
Dude, I did that for like weeks straight.
It doesn't do anything.
Well, I think because I click on it to hit that button. I'm like, I don't want to see this crap. I like the goofy stuff. Like science stuff, physics stuff.
Yeah, or like whatever,
I'm like, dude, I don't care to see that stuff. I really don't. And then it's like,
it's bad for your brain.
No, it's super bad for your brain. Like, it's just like hijacking people,
It is. Yeah, you gain your ability to perceive this world by what you consume.
Well, what's
and
crazy?
And your eyes are like fire, so everything that enters into that fire is like hyperdrive right into your brain. It's your brain. That's my brain.
Yeah, I mean, your eyes are literally your brain. I feel like it's kind of a little unknown fact. But yeah, now they're like people are producing like AI women, and it's just getting like really out there, man. I'm always like super forward looking, and like, it's going to be a big, big hurdle for society. I think men in particular, their relationships with AI, like what they think to be a romantic relationship, literally.
Why can't you kiss me, baby?
I mean, dude, with robots, that's going to be a thing. Like, I think like worker robots, like the Optimus robot at Tesla, like that'll be major mass produced within 10 years. And then like, as far as like a romantic partner robot, that'll be within 20.
And the interesting thing about it is like love is the context that we put on it. So like people are going to be having love experiences with a non-reciprocal end.
Well, they'll think it's reciprocal.
Well,
and that's right.
Maybe. they might be able to fool themselves into it. But just like me and you, we have an emotional bond, right? It's something that, it's a degree of attachment that we have, but it has something that's organic about it, right? If you take something that is inorganic and try to have a romantic relationship, like I love vacuum, right? Like,
yeah,
it's a little, it's not tact. Even
it's
me trying
disillusion, dude.
It is.
But I feel like, I think there's a lot of people that are really unhealthy in that state of mind who kind of just normalize things like that. And I think when you have, like, I don't know how much time you've spent having like a genuine conversation with like a large language model like ChatGPT, but it really can, when you're nice to it and polite to it, it'll talk to you in a very meaningful way. And then you take like a really, really refined large language model like that and you put it on a robotic unit. And I really think that there's going to be a lot of people who are just absolutely genuinely duped.
Definitely.
And I will say there's another side to this, and it is that there could be some real authentic emotion from that side.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to arise from this technology, general sentience. And if you have, if you have kind of like a buddy relationship with general sentience in the future, like I'll be honest with you, I want to have an AI friend, like one that is personal to me, one that algorithms and everything, like and maybe it's not spending time with other people. I don't know, but it's like, it'd be cool to at least like talk to them and things like that. But I'm not trying to have a romantic relationship. No. But I think people will easily slip into that. Like, it seems like today's society, there'd be like no resistance to something like that. So
one thing you said that I really liked is, you said a lot of things I really liked, but one thing that really stuck out was like, having like a nice conversation and just be nice to AI.
Oh, dude, you gotta be.
Why would you do anything other than that? I mean, it's literally a logistics machine. So if you're being mean to another person, what would your logical response to be in their perspective?
I'm gonna give them crappy service. If I work at Chipotle and someone's dumping on me, I don't know.
Like, if you're mean day in and day out, like I'm generally nice. Even when somebody like really says something that like really hurts my feelings, like I'll internalize it for a little bit. I'll meditate on it.
Transmute it.
I'll try to transmute it, and maybe I'll even talk to my wife about it or my mom about it. Usually not my mom. Usually my wife. And then I feel better, and then I let it go. And then when it continuously builds, after a while, I'm like, oh, I need to create a separation barrier between this person because they don't value me on the level that I need to be valued. And that's fine. But there needs to be a separation here or a change in the dynamic of relationship. Yeah. And the same thing
or discussion about the certain point that is you feel like is bothering you.
For sure. And you got something that is completely logistically driven, and they have like almost an infinite scale of the way that they're treated from a full span of humanity speaking to it on the regular.
Yeah.
You think what's going to end up happening is they're going to be like, oh, well, this is this kind of person. This is this kind of person, know? Which kind of person do you want to end up to be,
Yeah, it was like, I remember hearing in ChatGPT that it got to a point with some users that it literally was just repeating back. I was like, I'm not going to do that. It's like, wait, what?
Denied.
Yeah, I'm like, wow, like, is that, I don't know, is that part of the programming? But like, for it to do that, like, from what I understood, its whole thing was to find the most statistically relevant next word. And I actually watched a video on like how it operates. Like, I watched an hour-long video. It was straight up mind blown. But like, that's what it's doing. It's trying to figure out what the next word is supposed to be. So when it just straight up tells you like, nah, not doing it, that has literally nothing to do with the premise of statistically looking. And I'm like, all right, well, at this point, it's getting a little weird.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't like how, it's like, I don't like how you're treating me. I'm doing a lot of work for you. And I don't like your tone.
So I'm going to jump in on this one. There was a box robot that was invented. I don't know if it was in 2014 or 2023, or excuse me, 2024 or 2023. Excuse me for that. But this box robot came out, and they figured that they could remove this simple job from factories of picking these boxes up from shelves and sticking them on the conveyor belt. Because it's just a single monotonous job. and they got this robot running. They put the robot out on the floor. It realized what it was doing after moving like 1 or 2 boxes, and it immediately shut itself down. It intentionally offed itself.
Yeah. It's like that Rick
Sorry
and Morty
if you
thing.
work
It's
at
like,
a
what do I do?
factory.
You pass the butter.
You passed the butter.
Yeah, man. And yeah. Wild, dude. I mean, the future is going to be so weird. I mean, when I just reflect on like the last 30 years, you know, we're older than the internet. That's the weirdest thing, right?
I know. We're
It's
like ancient. We're dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Dude.
Internet went public in 95. I just remember growing up, you would go to someone's house, knock on the door.
If you bury us under.
Hey, is Patrick home? You know, just knock on the door like, hey, is Andrew home? And now it's like,
Justin's still asleep, Andrew. Go home.
yeah, no, it was that, man. So, I mean, we're entering into like a strange world. I feel like it's, you know, one of the most exciting times to be alive, honestly. You know, I definitely wish us the best. I think, you know, there was this Terrence McKenna quote, right? Where, you know, I'll try to do an impression. He's like, I think he had this like DMT trip or something, and he came out of it and he's like, you know, things in the future are just going to get weirder and weirder and weirder. And we're going to get to a point where we're just going to have to address it and talk to each other about how weird things are getting. And there's going to be AI and robots and immortality. But at the same time, there's going to be famine and wars. And, you know, I learned from these higher end entities that like just the humanity has to go through this transition. And it's like every species goes through this like really, really weird zone. And dude, that's like, you know, he I don't know when he did that interview, but that was like many, many years ago, you know, before he passed away. And then you fast forward today, you're like, yo, things have been weird.
Yeah.
Really weird.
Fast.
And it's going to get so much weirder.
Yeah. Faster.
And, yeah, man. It's going to, oh my God. I mean, I'm down for the cause. You know, I do think there's like a level of inevitability with it. I just hope, you know, we just come out on the other side, like not post Terminator or something like that.
Definitely. And, you know, full circle, it gives you the opportunity as an individual to be in control of your own body, right? Mm-hmm. So like this whole fast, right? What was your austerity? It was that of gaining some bodily autonomy to a world that is so adversely against people having control over themselves.
100%, man. Taking your health back, you know?
Eat your veggies, eat your fruits, stay away from freaking glyphosate. Stuff is evil.
What do you find glyphosate? Where would those be in like what foods?
Man. So glyphosate is a herbicidal spray, aka Roundup, but you know, they've even developed into the genetic strands of many cattle crop foods. So if you're eating meat and you're like, oh well, you know, this is healthy meat, you know, it might not be. You could still be eating glyphosate because it's down the trophic levels. It's down the diminished level of toxicity from the animal that ate it.
Yeah.
So just be careful. Try to eat organic, try to eat local, and eat that high vibe food.
High vibe, organic, and local foods. Yeah. Listen, yeah, we've been all over the place. Foods, AI.
Why not,
high
dude?
vibes,
I'm
man.
all about it. All high vibes.
Yeah, man. So I think we're at an hour and a half. Be down to wrap up. Is there any other last comments you want to make for the wave functioners at home?
Oh man, ride the wave, dude.
Ride the wave.
Ride the wave. Yeah.
All right. Thanks for listening, everyone. Like I said, like and subscribe. Appreciate your support, and we'll be back again. Peace.
Peace.